Guys, it's Bina, and in today's video I am happy to announce that we have released the max roll filters, which are basically many different levels of strictness for filters based on your needs and preferences. So for example, if you go on any planner or any build guide and you click the loot filter button now, you will have access to different levels of strictness between regular, strict, very strict, uber strict, and giga strict. So I just want to go and explain a little bit what these filters are about. It took me a long time to work on these filters and made them as good as possible. I am actively looking for feedback on them. If you have feedback, please message me with it. Feedback on this video, give me feedback on my Discord, on my Twitch stream, however way you can reach me, on the max roll Discord as well. Give me feedback. I will update this filter. I now have the tools to update this filter very quickly and efficiently. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So basically the first filter you're going to be looking at is going to be the regular filter. Recommended filter strictness for leveling a season starter. Progressively hides the worst item and highlights potential upgrades. If you are looking for a written type of article, there is the Understanding Max Roll Loot Filter article. I will link in the description below. You can go ahead and look at everything about the filters and all the different levels of strictness and the rules explained, and a little bit of why these rules exist in the first place and what they are showing exactly. But this is going to be the video guide for it. So let's go right straight into it. When you generate a loot filter, you can also hide all items for other classes. Keep in mind, if you do this, it will hide all items for other classes, even uniques with 4 LP class specific for another class. Only do this if you really only plan on playing that specific character, mainly for solo character found, right? When you click generate, it will copy to your clipboard. When you go in game, you press Shift F. It opens up the loot filter thing here. You press the little plus button here, and you paste the clipboard's content. So once you paste the clipboard's content, you press confirm. Now you have BinaQc's regular, and it tells you exactly what the filter is and all the different rules. So this is what the filter might look like for you. And let's go over the rules now. So in white, just like in Path of Exile, white are giga rare like items and uniques that are S tier. So stuff like 4 LP, anything 4 LP or above 21 Weaver's Will, and the S tier and extremely rare uniques. Stuff like Immortal Vise, stuff like Orion's Eye, things like this, right? Then uniques with 3 LP or 18 Weaver's Will are going to be recolored in a slightly darker color, which is blue. So the ones that are emphasized are going to be the 3 LP 18 Weaver's Will, and the ones that are not emphasized are going to be stuff that drops from either specific bosses or rare drops or rare dungeon drops. So you know that if it's a blue color, it is something special. It doesn't drop as much as the other uniques, right? So Frostbite Shackles is a rare drop from the Blood, Frost, and Death timeline. So that one is recolored but not emphasized. And stuff like Bastion of Honor, Nihilus, Auror's Time Glass, Talons of Valor 3 LP. That's why it's emphasized. And Firestarter's Torch 3 LP. Keep in mind, as you go to different levels of strictness in the actual planner here. So different levels of strictness will show or hide different uniques. So for example, the Firestarter's Torch would not be shown even at 3 LP in the Giga Strict filter or even in Uber Strict, because it is too easily accessible. And if you really want it at this point, you can just target farm it. COF has many tools to be able to target farm items very easily with the prophecies. And then in MG, a 3 LP Firestarter's Torch is probably pretty cheap. So, also as a disclaimer, this filter is not made for Merchant's Guild. It is made for finding your own gear for your characters that you have in the planner. So most, pretty much all of the affixes in here are fetched directly from the planner itself. So it will take into account all the uniques. If you have experimental items, if you have set affixes on your gear, if you have set items, the idols, it takes everything into account and automatically fetches all of those and pulls them into the proper rules on the filter. So you don't have to do, like, 99% of the job is already done for you. There are few rules here and there that you will have to adjust only and only if you want to find stuff for other builds. If you only care about this specific build, the filter is entirely done from A to Z, and you can select the level of strictness here. So let's continue with this one. So that was for the 4 LP and the 3 LPs, 18 Weaver's Will. Then you have the red items that are going to be the items that you absolutely want to see and pick up, right? So things for your build, every single unique is going to be added to this rule here, and every single unique with 1 LP as well from the planner, and optional add more, right? So if you want to find more items, more uniques with 1 LP to reroll into the turtle, for example, the Farsight turtle, which enables you to farm to reroll legendary potential uniques into possibly higher ones, add them to these rules. This is one of the rules that you will have to adjust if you want to find items for other builds. So for example, this one comes from my Ballista character, so it's going to show Arrow Guard 1 LP, good, it's very good for the turtle. Bone Climber Barbute 2 LP. So no matter what, why is this rule so good? Is because the turtle, if you're trying to find, for example, a Bone Climber Barbute with 3 LP, then you will pick up every single 1 LP, every single 2 LP, put them in your stash, and then just go reroll them at the turtle, because it's just so much more efficient to do it this way, rather than only doing prophecies and ignoring all of the 1 and 2 LPs. The turtle is your friend. Go do the turtle as much as possible, right? So early on, Urathrin stand with 0 LP, I will still want to see, because in my planner, I do have the Urathrin stand bow. So to start a build, you absolutely need this, right? So as you progress and you don't want to see the 0 LPs anymore, maybe because this is too common and you don't really want to find it unless it has 1 LP for the turtle, then you would like remove it from this list, right? So this is why we have this, and Bone Climber 0 LP as well. Then we have the 2 LP or Dungeon and Arena uniques. So 2 LP 15 Weaver's Will are going to be shown in this specific color here. So as you can see, the progression of the uniques here are going slightly higher. I can put this one here and disable this rule to show this is going to be 0 LP, 1 LP, 2 LP, 3 LP, and then 4 LP, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, we go from very small and dark to slightly bigger and brighter, and then brighter again, and then even brighter. So I try to keep a very nice color scheme for this filter. Let me know what you think about the colors, by the way. These are easily changeable, but I think so far these seems pretty good. So we went over the 2 LPs, the Dungeon and Arena uniques. Why am I recoloring Dungeon and Arena uniques? It's mainly because of this node here in the Weaver tree. When you're dropping those in your echoes have a chance to spawn rare enemies alongside pack specific dungeon that drop the dungeon's respective keys and have a chance to drop the uniques from those dungeons. So when you are in your regular echoes and you have like a pretty casual filter early on, you might want to like identify quickly those dungeon uniques because you're looking for them because you spec into the Weaver tree. So that is why all of the dungeon or arena uniques are going to be recolored this way. So that covers pretty much all of the LP uniques and stuff like this. Now in bright yellow, I put the multi-exalted, either triple exalted, multi-exalted double tier 7s, or tier 7, tier 6. These are going to be yellow like this. So those are going to be ones that you really want to see always. So this is why I put them in bright yellow. The unique idols. Unique idols, eventually, you'll probably only want to see needles, right? So the needles are going to be recolored like this. But you might also want to see early on some of these other ones. But those stuff like Trinity of Flames is only shown in the very, very first filter. The very first level of Strictness. It's going to be recolored. Actually, this one is a rare drop, so it actually drops with this color. Well, this one is also a rare drop, actually. So they do show as this color, but in future, higher strictness level of filters, for example, if I take the very strict one, I am pretty sure that this does not show this color. No, it does show, because it is still a rare monolith timeline boss drop, right? Yeah, because Throne of Ambition is from a boss drop. It's pretty rare. Bad example. If I use, for example, I actually don't keep any of these. Maybe Singularity would be shown. Okay, Singularity is not shown because we are too strict and nobody really wants to use Singularity unless you're looking for it. So that would be an item that you would put into your red rule. And Paste clipboards. Boom. So as you can see, small unique idols are going to be recolored in this specific way, the unique idols. So you can easily identify, for example, Harbinger needles. Not this one, right? Singularity. If you are on a stricter filter, this is the very strict filter. Singularity is not shown, and you will be able to see Harbinger idols very easily. So that is it for this specific rule for the idols. Then it's going to show, let's go back to a regular filter here. As you can see, it's very, very quick to make adjustments to this. And we'll go over a little bit later how you can like manage to like put these all in the same, drag and drop these from one filter to another. We'll go over this as well. So this is why we're going to show these on the regular strictness. Unique idols, obviously show all legendaries, cocooned uniques, all weavers will, all unique items. If you don't want to see those anymore, you can always click them off, or just go into the into your planner and adjust the strictness level of your filter, right? Then we have recolor rare set items and all set items. So set items are going to be shown as green, just like the regular sets, and then emphasize in this color was the best way to really make them pop out a little bit more, while keeping the same color for the sets, for the rare set items. But these arguably you will only want to find if you're really looking for them on your build. Then we have show all tier 7 rings and amulets. This rule is pretty good because it takes very little space, and rings and amulets can be like the glue that fits your build, like kind of like fills in the empty spaces of your build together. Either it is resistances or certain stats that you really want. Those are very, very easy to gather a little bit of and keep in your stash. Always nice to have like a good selection of rings and amulet to select from. If you're trying to swap builds at some point, you already have many options with many different bases. All of them are going to be tier 7. So that is a very pretty easy rule to use early on, and you can unclick it when you don't want to see anymore. Same for tier 6 eternal gauntlets and the base belts. This is only in the very first level of the filter, because eventually if you go to very strict, for example, you will have something like this, which is going to be only tier 7s, right? Because eventually you only want to find tier 7s, but as you're progressing for the first time on your first character, tier 6 is still nice. So that pretty much covers that rule. Next, show wanted experimental and tier 6 for Runes of Havoc. Again, this is going to be tier 7 in the next level of filter. Experimental, this rule only shows when it actually makes sense to have it shown based on your own affixes that you put in the planner or in the build guide. So for example, experimental affixes, this rule will only show if you have one on the planner. And this is nice because you might want to find, if you find a tier 1 minions teleported with a tier 7 void res, you can use a Rune of Havoc to actually change it to change a void res tier 7 into tier 1, and then put this tier 7 on the minions teleported on your boots. So that is a rule for only experimental items that will only show if you have some on your planner. Next, the pink rule. The pink rule is very important. It's going to show any important affixes. So if your planner or the build guide has any rare affix, which can be class specific, hybrid health, health regen, health, and flat health, I went over all of the really, really rare affixes and put them all here. If your planner includes that, it's going to be added into this list of affixes. And then in the later levels of strictness, for example, it's going to be probably in like, I think it's regular strict and very strict. And then in uber strict and giga strict, that rule is actually empty because you probably have a lot of shards already and you don't want to see these necessarily. So you will only add in the ones that you actually want. So this rule is another rule that you might want to do some changes to as you progress, as you find more of these affixes. Anything that is also experimental or a champion affix will also be included in this one because those are important affixes for your build. Now if we go into the green colors here, this is only on the first levels of strictness. So this is going to be rare items. So the rare strict relic, gloves, boots, belts, etc. This is going to be based on your filter. If your filter has any sort of regular items which are not unique, the filter will automatically fetch the base and the stats of the item and put them in a rule that says if the item drops on this exact base with these affixes on the item, I put at least 2 affixes and 4 tiers total, the filter will highlight it. So these are very, very strict rules. And then you have like slightly less strict rules, which have I did something for this one, which is the filter will look to show you at least 1 offensive stats that you have selected on the planner, plus 1 other stat that you might want, which is also included for which also includes resistances and generically good affixes as you progress and level up. But the item needs to have at least 1 offensive affix, because most of the time, by the time you hit monolith and the later stages like the level 90 monolith and stuff like that, you pretty much always have at least 1 offensive affix on your items. And then if you find like a fire res and void res item, even though it has 2 stats, which could be technically good for you, you are very unlikely to change to these items. So I have only included items that will actually already have an offensive affix plus a second one and different amounts of tiers on the item. So this one will be 5, this one will be 9 because it's going to be very, very strict. Up until level 55, any item that has 2 affixes, whether it's even just 2 tier 1s, if it's 1 offensive affix and 1 other affix, it will show. And up until level 30, anything that has just 1 affix from your planner will show here, because early on, gear is very scarce. So this is going to be for the leveling rules. As you can see, if I go to different levels of strictness, if I go to strict, for example, which is the second one here, there are less and less of these rules, because at this point, you pretty much only want to see exalted, tier 6, possibly tier 7s. So the first level of strictness recommended for leveling season starters. The second one is as you start empowered monos, it will hide most uniques without significant LP or Weaver's Will. So it will still show all the 3 LPs, but most of the 1 LPs you don't really want to see unless they are for your build or you're actively looking for them, right? Then in very strict, it's when you want to start to focus on tier 7 items. It hides most of the tier 6 except the ones on the exact bases that you want and with the proper affixes. Uber strict hides all the tier 6 items, doesn't care. You're only looking for like tier 7s, multi-exalted, tier 7s on the proper bases, pretty much designed for optimized gameplay, strict idols. I think most people will actually stay with the strict version of the filters because on this one, you can actually, you have all of the options from the higher tiered filters, but you can just unselect a few things. You know, if you want to start only finding strict idols, you can unselect the ones that only show 1 affix. And if you want to, if you want to stop seeing the strict tier 6 stuff, you can unselect them or delete them. So I think very strict is going to be good for most people. But for those who actually want to like absolutely blast, there's an uber strict version and there's also a giga strict version designed for multi-exalted farming. It will hide all the single tier 7s because you don't care. You're only looking for double tier 7s or like double tier 7s or above, triple exalted, very strict planner idols, high LP uniques, multi-exalt imprint farms. So this is the absolute highest level of strictness that I have included. I don't think a lot of people would play with this one. I think most people will go with very strict and just unclick certain boxes. But if you really don't want to click uncheck boxes and you're only scaling, basically, you're playing 1 build for the entire season, maybe at some point you go uber strict and giga strict. So for the idol rules, I have 2 different rules here. One that is showing the strict idols from your planner with the 2 exact affixes on them. So the idol must have 2 selected affixes on the idol, and then the other rules just shows 1 idol, 1 affix on the idol. Then I have this one here, strict Weaver idols. So because Weaver idols are basically just stronger versions of the regular idols that we used to have, finding some that have 2 Weaver affixes is going to be very beneficial for you because you will want to find a lot of them for many different builds, and you never know when you will need one affix or another, and there's no way to filter per affix roll range. So just showing any idol that have 2 proper Weaver affixes on them is going to be pretty beneficial for your versatility and your ability to go into different builds. And basically idols are a big missing, not the missing piece of the puzzle, but like they are items that kind of like not glue your build together, but like fill in the missing portions of your build, whether it is a little bit of damage, a little bit of res, a little bit of flat damage, increased damage, penetration. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with these, and these are also very, very strong now to fix your resistances, going up to 12% on 1x1s. So any idol that has basically 2 Weaver affixes are going to be shown, and then hide all items starting from level 8, because prior to level 8 you will still want to see all items, because like gear is so scarce in the first few zones that this is what you want to do. For leveling, I have some special rules. Movement speed until level 10, experimental, champion, and personal affixes until level 45. Some personal items sometimes can be useful during leveling. These don't show often enough during leveling to hide them, and they might be beneficial for your build, especially as loot is scarce. So I'm still showing these. All idols until level 35, because how many times do you never find idols, but you have like your idol slots all unlocked? So early on, you might want to use any idol that you want, but past level 35, I just start hiding them all. And generic res and health idols until level 75. For your first character, it's very beneficial. As I said, fixing your res early on with idols is one of the best way to do so. So that pretty much covers most of the rules. I will go over a few more rules here on the stricter version of the filter. So here I'm on uber strict. This is also available to very strict and the other ones as well. Strict glove. This one is going to show you the tier 7 strict gloves on the exact proper base from the planner with the exact affixes. So this is the one that is tier 7 for the uber strict, and in the very strict version you will find yourself with one of these. Boom. The tier 6 as well. As you don't want to see those anymore, you unclick them, right? So I hope you really like this. I hope you really like this filter. I have put a lot of work into this one. Really a lot of work. It was not easy. After many complaints from season 1 that people were not seeing enough items, to this season that people thought they were seeing too many items. Even though I had the article explaining, you can click off some rules. Some of these rules can be edited. Some of these rules, when you don't want to find rares anymore, you can uncheck, right? I think a lot of people were finding too many items because they weren't unchecking some rules. Now everything is done. Everything is pretty much done for you already from the start. You only have to select your strictness level. Which one do you want? At what stage in the game you are? Leveling, start of empowered. You want to focus on tier 7s, and then you want to focus on like even like a more min-max version of your build, and then even higher multi-exalt farming. Again, this is available on every single build guide. I'll go over a build guide right here real quick. If you go into a build guide, you go into the loot filter section, you click this, and you will have the option to select it here as well. And then it's also available on any Maxroll planner. You can make your own planner here on the Maxroll website, and then click the loot filter button, and with everything included, including every single variant of the build as well, that will take the affixes and automatically pull them and put them in the filter in game. Now, one last thing that I want to mention is that right now we do not have a method to actually merge rules together. There are other websites out there that have merger tools. I will link in the description below. But soon, very very soon, we're gonna have our own merger tool on Maxroll. So hopefully we get this out as soon as possible. I'm working to get a beta version out as soon as possible, so that you can actually, for example, you want to change strictness level from regular to strict, but you've already done your rules on the red rules, right? For the uniques, 1 LP, and the uniques from the planner with no LP, and you don't want to lose that work, because maybe you selected, I don't know, like maybe you selected, for example, I think I have like 80 selected or something like this on my filter. have like 86 selected, right? So what you'll be able to do is just import this filter into the tool and then drag and drop the rules to one filter to another, and then just start with that filter again. Hopefully this is something that you guys enjoy, something that you guys can benefit from. I think the biggest pain of creating a loot filter from scratch is inputting every single rule for every single item, for every single base, and putting all of the affixes one by one for them all the time. That is already going to be done for you. So hopefully you guys like it, and this saves you a lot of time, and you can use this as a good template to start any build that you desire. That is it for today. I hope you like this video, and yeah, a lot of work has been put into this one, so hopefully this helps you guys out.